Welcome to our program, Psychological Studies. Today, the 7th module, Awake and Be Happy. Let's start our reflections in a profound, deep way, asking, what is God? In the Spirit's book, by Allan Kardec, question 1, the enlightened spirits, the benefactors of humanity, answered, God is the supreme intelligence, the first cause of all things. And still in the same book, the Spirit's book, question 23 was asked, what is spirit? The answer is, the intelligent principle of the universe. We are all spirits, immortal beings, learners of life, learning within the natural laws of life. And as more as we do that, more we understand ourselves, more we understand others, and also life and the objective of our existence. With that in mind, let's continue our reflections with the teachings of the benefactor Joanna de Ângelis. She is telling us or teaching us, saying that contemporary men and women, seduced by unmeasurable ambition for power which grants them luxury, leisure and pleasure, remain dormant to their serious spiritual responsibilities, considering them of secondary importance and in the vain supposition that they can resolve their inner problems at any time. They transfer their attention and emotions to the outside world, causing great damage to their inner harmony. We may ask ourselves, where are we in this moment in our existence? Do we feel in harmony or not? Let's continue to reflect with the spiritual benefactor Joanna de Ângelis. She continues to say to us, their concerns and desires center around material values. Erroneously, they assume themselves to be special individuals, unaffected by suffering, afflictions, and the inevitable unpleasantness of life. They anesthetize themselves by forgetting biological phenomena in constant change and unexpected moral occurrences, if not the hated presence of death itself. What is that to us? How are we interacting with material life? How do we perceive ourselves from a biological perspective or from a spiritual perspective? And if biological, what is our reference? Are we aware that life means change? Let's think about it. And she continued to teach us. Distracted by games of illusion, they spend their time in voluptuous pleasures, unaware of any serious commitments towards life, which relentlessly awaits the moment to call them back to reality. She is teaching that to all of us, myself and all of you who are listening too. They believe that their joy will not cease and that the concessions that they enjoy will not come to an end. Poor capacity of consideration and respect for life. However, when they are faced with evolution reverses through the less happy moments of everyday life, unequipped and void of moral structure, they sink into bitterness, resentment, or fear, or go to great lengths to run away, trying to avoid challenges, or facing them with hostility, acrimony, and violence, totally lacking sense. The result in that way of behaving, or in that way in interacting in life, predictably is negativity, if not sadness. Modern human beings are sadly lacking in knowledge of the living way of the doctrine of Jesus. The unforgettable love lesson, widely repeated but rarely experienced, would be enough to alter the moral values of human beings, providing them with happiness. Championships of pleasure, but very little harmony in human beings. The glory of intelligence multiplies, but so does the conflict of sentiments. Empty human beings roam in all directions and, lost from their existential path, become drunken on fanciful dreams to avoid themselves and others. At these difficult times, Spiritism comes as the response from the generous heaven to the troubled earth, offering guidelines, resources, and the light to provide peace to each one of us. It is necessary to become aware of the values of the eternal Spirit in order to achieve identification with oneself and with the goodness. Goodness, God, the supreme cause of everything and everyone. In the spiritual process, each spirit develops step by step certain innate values. As we have all been created, simple and ignorant, created by God, we bring the seeds of the spiritual values within ourselves. Step by step, each one of us, through the journey of evolution, we are awakening and fulfilling ourselves gradually. In one situation, the spirit develops intelligence, in another, feelings, and in another, artistic abilities, searching for the perfection which synthesize the acquisitions of all intellectual moral goods. It's impossible to achieve, to learn everything in the same time. This is why the evolution happens step by step. By instinct, the human creature is aggressive, and when it is not able to exteriorize that violence, it resorts to mechanisms of evasion, depression, and bitterness. Inherited from the lowest stages of evolution, this tendency should be channeled to the acquisition of ethical, intellectual, artistic, and professional values. The conquest for reason permits the transmutation of aggression, allowing in the human being a predominance of the spiritual nature instead of the animal nature, the instinct nature. When an individual cannot or does not want to change, altering his behavior towards equilibrium and progress, he chooses dispute as his form of self-satisfaction for exaltation of the ego. He becomes confusing, envious, and jealous, acting against the natural process of evolution. Joanna de Ângelis carries on telling us, be careful. Allow divine energy to pass through and to satiate you so that you can overcome the temptation to argue or to be beaten by obstinate persecutors, futile accusers. Be the one who does not cause confrontation, but practices good. The one who does not hit back, but remains firmly in your ideal and until the end of your physical existence. When someone shifts emotionally to the distressing areas of pointless discussions or of the ego-based competitions, he loses the benefit of its tone and starts to produce toxins and poisons, which disharmonize his delicate organic system. That is what we all do if we choose to allow the ego predominate the self. But if we choose the self to guide the ego, then we are working towards equilibrium and balance our organic system. Devoting emotional time and space to self-justification and imposition or to replying to criticism is a hurtful resource which will soon result in inner imbalance. The consciousness of the correct attitude does not agree with anarchy, which is the free persecution of laziness. Life is a continuous process of action, of movement. What are we choosing? Bear in mind that life be a continuous process of action. We may ask ourselves, what are we activating? We are constantly within the laws of cause and effect. Let's activate goodness within ourselves. As you awake to self-enlightenment, try to identify with the divine flow of ideas, actions. Fighting the inferior tendencies and transforming them into liberating aspirations. The actions of goodness are always discreet and ongoing, with well-defined aims. The well-defined aims are our superior goals: to be better today than yesterday, and tomorrow better than today. To be willing to work on our inner actualization process. It does not become numb when it is not understood, nor does it come to a halt when it faces obstacles. The achievement of an ideal occurs when the inner being, happy, commands his capacities. When we choose to command our inner talents, our inner superior capacities, the focus of our self-realization no longer is outside us, but inside. Reflecting on the outer person gently behavior, without excesses or presumption, but with nobility. When we choose to connect with the deep of ourselves, the core, which is love, which is goodness, from within we will be able to express ourselves towards the external in a more noble way, in a more gentler way, in a more balanced way. The mind which perceives the superior psychism and channels it through the brain vitalizes the organism, easily experiences well-being, enjoying plentiful health, the integral health. Psychosphere become plentiful health, When this does not happen, the person absorbs the poisonous emanations predominant in the environment. Psychosphere, becoming pessimistic and defeatist and enduring disturbances that can be avoided. The universe is immersed in the cosmic thought from which it originated and is nurtured. You are an essential part of it, all of us. And if you wish to be in harmony, absorb its irradiation and adjust your mind to be in balance through the current process of your evolution. It is an individual inner choice. The illusion around reality of matter is responsible for the tormenting efforts to conquer this world. But we all pass through the river of time, transforming ourselves. Everything changes in the world, but the treasures of the inner harmony, of faith enlightened by reason, of the certainty of immortality and the genuine communion with God, these are kept unchangeable in the spirit. They are real values which will be never lost and no one can take them from us. Thus, only when the human being meets his own conscience and acts in harmony does he achieve the real victory, the victory over ourselves, the victory where the self is in control of the ego, or where the ego is already restructured and is under the supervision of the self. Success over oneself strengthens harmony and increases the joy of living, leading the person to dedicate itself to the task, undertaking and contributing in favor of a more balanced and happy social group. The social groups, wherever we are, they are formed by every one of us, that is to say, by each individual. So when we strengthen ourselves in goodness from within, we will end up being a healthy element in the social group. Every complaint is dispensable in the economy of the psychosocial balance. The one who complains lowers itself or expects sympathy. Human beings, teaches Joanna de Ângelis, the spiritual benefactor, have been created to love and to be loved, never to complain, demand, or be lost in self-pity. Elevate your thoughts and aspirations to the level of light and let the sublime spirits conduct you through a joyful process of liberation. Our evolution process is never alone because we work in partnership with our spiritual guides, with those spiritual friends who are helping us. So let's open our hearts and minds through developing self-love and loving others so that our psychic channels are receptive for the superior and joyful inspirations. The nourishment to maintain life is love. Love forgives naturally and often without the need to do so, as it does not take offense or accept aggression. The much desired self-realization depends on the application of the essential laws of life: love, forgiveness, and service. Where are we within the essential laws of life? Remember the title of this module: Awake and Be Happy. Let's remind again, the essential laws of life for all of us, everywhere: love, forgiveness, and service. Are we loving us and others? Are we within the process of self-forgiveness and forgiving others? Are we serving towards the good for everyone? The love of God fulfills every one of us. To forget offenses, forgiving them, is easy to achieve if you bear in mind that reincarnation is an evolutionary resource that the divine offers to all of us. Try to vibrate at the same level of love and unrestricted confidence in God. Pray and act correctly, and you will be stimulating the healer within to preserve your health. The healer within. When we come to the center of ourselves through learning to love, to forgive, and to do good, we are stimulating the healing resources that we bring within, allowing you to comply with the commitments of your current reincarnation. When we are adjusted according to our reincarnation process and carry out our duties in relation to that choice, we are naturally working towards integral health. We are naturally awakening spiritually and fulfilling our lives with joy. Infirmities are the presence of shadows over the light elements of human beings. Love therapy is the solution within your reach, within our reach. It will not only allow the recovery of your health if you are sick, but it also will strengthen you to avoid sickness. The harmony of the Creator will find a resonance in your vibratory field, rich in love. Remember, we are all interconnected and constantly connected with our Creator, God, who is love. So when we choose to journey within and develop self-love, we actually are expanding this connection with the infinite resource of love, of well-being, of health, which comes from God. Invading and dominating our body and our very existence. Let's try to journey within. Let's choose to awake within the real meanings of life. Bear in mind that we are immortal beings, spirits, created by God with love in order for us to learn to love ourselves, to love others, to love life. Understand the process of the immortality of the soul, which means that we will not die, we do not die, we carry on developing our minds and hearts. We are in constant progress, in constant evolution throughout the different existences, through the process of reincarnation. So it is quite wise on our side to choose to understand more the theory of reincarnation. And as we awake more and more towards the reality beyond the physicality, we will choose to live our lives in the physical realm from a spiritual perspective. And that for itself will guide us towards achieving profound and real happiness. Let's engage in this journey of self-discovery, of inner awakening towards what is good for us today, what is good for us tomorrow, what is good for others today, what is good for others tomorrow, and develop goodness, kindness, harmony, and inner peace as we continue to awake in a constant process of evolution, today and always. Let's trust the process and engage with faith, with our hearts open as immortal and eternal learners, as we all are, who are loved by God today and always. Much peace to all. See you soon.